hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time you're listening to. I hope it's a good time. I am your host of the House Act podcast, Nikasi Freeman, joined by my co-host,
Justin Hall. That is who I am. Very happy to have a wonderful guest, another former peer in the wonderful study of the arts, and now on to big and bright things, inspiring the next generation as a high school teacher and inspiring anybody on stage as an actor as well. Let's meet the wonderful Nala.
Hello. Hi, my name is Nala McCamy, and as was stated, I'm a theater teacher. I teach at One Ramway at Newton High School. Go Rams! It's fun because Newton is my alma mater. I went to Newton, so now I'm back to teach, which is fun. Got my bachelor's at UGA in Go Dogs. My bachelor's in theater with an emphasis in direction and stage management, and a certificate in musical theater. And then my master's also from UGA in nonprofit leadership and management. I spent some time working at a nonprofit community theater for a year before I started teaching, and we're almost done with my first year. Yeah.
That's amazing. Nala, I did not know that you did the musical theater certificate, which was like brand new.
Yeah.
At UGA and the nonprofit program. Okay, come on.
Nala stayed busy, as we can see.
It's weird not being busy. I feel like my skin is crawling. I have to have something to do all the time, or then I actually get behind. It's weird.
I feel like that's like the blessing and curse of a creative, though, is like if we don't stay busy, like we really do go insane in a sense. Yeah, I feel that.
It's its own special little ride. You just kind of poke at yourself. Like, am I okay? I don't know.
Very true. You get some free time that you know you need, and then it's like, oh man, there's 1,000 things that I probably should be doing.
I'd be itching and I'd be like, okay, I took a nap. Now what?
No!
Man, got to make sure you work hard and play hard. So yeah, we're excited to get into this. I think it's going to be a really fun and interesting conversation as, you're jumping into this theater education world. You've gotten the wheels started churning. And from what I hear, kids these days are a little different. So I'm excited to jump into like the strengths, the challenges of that, how it influenced you as a creative and whatnot. But before we jump into that, how you doing today?
I'm okay. Today was an easier day. We're at the end of the year. So the work for them is really just making up anything that they have missed, preparing for their final, which isn't even really a final. It's please do this little half assignment because I have to give you something summative. Please do this little half assignment and actually do it so you don't fail. I'm a former gifted kid, so the idea of even being in that area is so foreign to me.
Yeah.
So when people are like, I just need to pass, I'm like, okay, you can, yeah, pass. So that's been weird having to like put my own personal standards aside and being like, okay, some people just want a 7. Somebody just wants a 70. That's okay. That's okay. Shut up. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm a big fan of the give a final just because you have to. The just do what you need to do so I can say I can pass you. I think my favorite final that I ever had, one of our professors for what was it? It was a professionalism course, right? Which was basically just an extra course to say that we did it. Usually like during this year it was to study for the SATs, but at the end it was, just a placeholder. So for the final, he had a placeholder final where we had to give presentations on the wildest career goal that we could possibly imagine. So I had to give like a 10-minute presentation on how if somebody needed to become Batman in real life, how do they do it?
See, that's real. That's great. That's a phenomenal example of these makeshift finals. Hello.
There we go.
Let's do it.
But back to the main stuff. So it's high school, right?
Yes.
9 through 12. Did you have fun?
Sometimes they're funny. They're really, really funny. And being so close in age, because for context, I'm 24, and the oldest kids there are like 18, 19. So that's 6 years,
Yeah.
6, 7 years,
Not
give
that
or
far off from them, yeah.
yeah. And then my little brother, he just turned 21 and he graduated 3 years ago. And then I have a little cousin who is their age. So it's odd being that close to them. And so there's that thing where it's like, okay, we have to be professional, but you also have to build a relationship. But also
Mm-mm.
that was really funny, but like that could have been their villain origin story. I need you to be nice. Please, I cannot laugh. I can't laugh. I can't laugh. I can't laugh.
Do you think that that's like a strength or a weakness that you're so, close to them? Like you can relate. Like y'all, is that the same generation? Am I all off?
Yes.
It's the same generation. Okay.
The freshmen coming up are Gen Alpha, but this year every student in that building was Gen Z, and I am also Gen Z.
So is it you would say like that works to your advantage that y'all are close?
In the classroom, yes, because once I'm like, I've been doing this for a while, I know what I'm doing, I'm going to talk to you like a person, because that's something that a lot of teachers and like substitutes aren't doing. They're not like, okay, these are a bunch of people that don't want to be here that I have to instill knowledge upon. They think, child, do as I say. Rah, why child not work? Person, question mark, people. I'll treat my students like people, unlike my coworkers, because that's what we are. We're coworkers.
Mm.
We're coworkers that don't go out after and can't talk about everything, but we're coworkers nonetheless. And just getting to know them, just being real with them. I don't ever give them stuff just to do it. I'm like, this is important. Everything we do is important. Please rock with me. We'll do fun stuff. I just need you to keep it going. But in the hallways, they look like I'm 7. So when I'm like, take your hoods off, take your headphones off, excuse me, please don't do that. They were looking at me like, who is you? You're literally one of us. And I'm like, I'm not.
I'm not one of your little friends.
I'm 24. I have to keep my ID on me. I keep my keys on me, and my kids laugh because I have a bunch of like charms and stuff on them. So they have a very specific jingle. And so they know when I'm coming.
It's
So
like you got
sometimes I feel like I have to shake the keys in their face, like, I work here. I work here. So outside of not looking like a teacher in the hallways or in my own classroom, I think it is a strength to be so close in age. Yeah, I think it's a strength.
Real.
For me, at least. It might not be a strength for somebody else, but for me.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. The point that you were making about like really seeing them as people, because I think adults forget like we were once that age too, and we once thought that way. And we really want to be, we want our opinions to be considered. I also think like that there's this weird, maybe it's in Western culture where it is like we're afraid to work across ages like collaboratively rather than hierarchically, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
And I think it really does start in the classroom of like, we're all working together towards a common goal. We're each humans to humans. Yes, great.
Exactly. I tell my coworkers all the time, this is the most that they've ever experienced. And you need to give them grace for that.
valid.
So if this is the first time that you've had your heart broken, that is a very big deal. I'm so sorry that you're 50 and divorced and you've had several heartbreaks. This is their first.
Did you always want to get into theater education? Was it something real?
What led you to this path then? Or like just theater in general too?
Okay. Theater, I just kind of fell into it, for lack of better words. I've always been performing. I did plays when I was younger. I danced and performed at church. And then when I got to high school and it was like an established thing, I was like, oh no, this is it. This is it. Then obviously UGA with the major in theater, being very active and doing all the things. And so then when I got out of school, I was working at a nonprofit theater. And I still work there. I just teach the acting classes. I used to teach acting classes and do donor management, donor services, whatever, donor stuff.
Development, basically, yeah.
Yeah, development. I used to do both, but now I'm just acting. But the previous principal, for anyone watching that is from Newton High School is going to be on principal 3 in 3 years. So not the newest guy and not the lady that's there now, the lady before her, Dr. Buff, who was my principal when I went to Newton. The job was posted and I knew it was posted. People were talking to me when it posted and I was like, I know. And then she calls me because she has my personal number. She's had it for a while. She calls me and she's like, Nala, that job is open. Well, yeah, I know. I'm just. What do you need? What do you need me to do? What is going to help you to get over here? Do I need to call your mom, please? Whoa. Let's not get crazy. I'm coming. I'm coming. Cause she was gonna call my mom, and my mom was gonna be like, "If you don't take that job, you're gonna have to get out of this house." So,
Oh my God.
I took the job.
Y'all came with a house. I'd take it too.
Okay, I took the job because she was essentially like, "This is the job for you. You are the person for this job. You're the person that I want to do this. Please come get it." And I was like, "Okay." And then my co-teacher in my acting classes is teaching at there are 3 high schools in the county. She's teaching at another one of those, and so I have a friend there. So it's not like I'm completely by myself, but it was not my first choice. No, but it is super duper steady and rewarding when it wants to be. So I'm not necessarily upset that I'm here. It just was not my first choice.
Yeah. I think that's valid in like when you're a performer. Like you gotta do all the things under the sun, right? Like you gotta teach, you gotta direct, you gotta like really learn how to do everything, especially just to like have a sustainable lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? You gotta pay bills at the end of the day. You need experience, you need to flex a creative muscle, and working in theater education is a way to do that.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was funny. One of the first I think it might have been like October, September. One of my kids was like, "So when you used to perform," and I was like, "Ooh,
Why
Ooh,
they
that
said that?
that past tense had to sting.
it did. It did.
Did you let them know you're still a performer?
Yes, I did. I did." And they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. So on that note, how do you feel like, aside from just not having enough time on the clock to do it more, how do you feel like this experience affects you as a performer? How do you
When I come out of this, I'm already really easy to work with, but I'm going to be even easier to work with.
real?
After working with a bunch of hungry and upset teenagers, when people are like, "I teach public school, there's nothing you can throw at me." I teach public school. Nothing. Nothing. So as a performer, like I do a lot of teaching by example. I do a lot of, "Let's try it this way." Okay, this way. Okay, you're not getting it. Let me do it with you. Let's try it together. And a lot of just kind of trusting myself and being really, really silly. So whenever I come out of this, I feel like I'll be prepared for anything, and B, just have a deeper confidence in myself.
And that's important.
Yeah, because there are people who started with me at the beginning of this year, teachers that did not make it through this entire year. And I feel bad for them just because, like, teaching is a pretty decent job, A, but B, like, it hurts my heart to know that it got to the point where you had to go. Because I call them monsters affectionately and in a derogatory way. But when they're truly being monsters, it does take a toll on you. And I don't know if that's because they were monsters to this teacher all the time, or because that teacher wasn't necessarily set up for this environment, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
For sure.
Public school teaching, especially these days, not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, girl, we had a lockdown yesterday. Level 3. It was during
Oh, sorry.
We have level?
what? Yes, yes.
3 sounds
So-
kind of high.
Yeah.
So it is. So at 1, it's like normal. There really isn't a 1. Just assume that 1 is like everyday activity. La 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 la. 2 is okay. We need movement to stop, but we can keep teaching. This isn't like a high security, whatever. It's like a precaution. It's like we're okay, but let's chill out. And then a 3 is like there is something dangerous that is threatened to happen, that is about to happen, that is running amok actively. So we need to sit down. There is no movement. The doors are always supposed to be locked anyway, but close your windows. Cover your little door window thing.
I think I remember that.
Stop teaching. Yeah.
We had a level 3 one time in 2017 when some killer clowns showed up on our campus. We had
I don't
some
remember
clowns
that.
running around. Yeah.
I remember the clowns too. That
Yeah.
was crazy.
We went on a full lockdown and everything. It was through the halls and oh boy. What a time.
Talk about theater to the extreme. I know you know about that, Justin, when you went to not thespian conference, Georgia
Oh,
State.
oh, the TESCon?
No, it was like it was no, it's like the Georgia, like you audition to go to this kind of program in the
Oh, Georgia
summer. I
Ensemble?
think that's it. And they
That's
teach
right.
about clowning.
GHP.
Okay. Oh God. We got there though.
GHP.
We got
There we
there.
go. Yeah, yeah. I was at GHP during the clown years. That
That's
was
what
a
I'm
time.
saying. I'm like, that's
Mhm.
peak theater, but they took it to the nth degree.
They
Indeed they
did.
did.
They
Indeed they did.
did.
They took it to the streets.
Yeah. This is a random question, but like, is GHP something that you want you're allowed to apply for since you're a Georgia school? Do you encourage
Yeah.
children to do that?
Yeah. GHP wasn't necessarily on my radar this year. So I definitely dropped the ball on GHP, getting someone in, getting kids nominated. I definitely dropped the ball. But this upcoming year, yeah, definitely GHP is a wonderful opportunity for the students. We do it. We had some dancers make it to like that second round, I think, but didn't go all the way. It's just very, very exclusive.
Mm,
Indeed, indeed. I think they only accept what? There's 20 slots for theater amongst the entire state, 10 of those for technical theater, and the other 10 for performance.
I didn't know there were 10 for technical theater. That's good to know.
I didn't know there were 10 for technical theater either.
That's good to know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But it's, sparsed out. So you'll have a couple like doing, act like full tech, some doing costume design, some doing
Mm,
set design and whatnot. But boy, do you
That
do
is
you get your reps in?
cool.
So there was a musical.
Yes,
Let's get
there
into the musical,
was.
guys. What are we
There
doing? Let's
was.
talk about the big musical. Nala, what can you tell them about it?
Yeah. Tell us about A Brand New Day.
The Wiz was a time. Our community and our the people who supported us really, really loved it. I definitely had noticed a drop. No, I don't want to say a drop. A change in the quality of theater that had come out of Newton in the past couple years, which is another reason why I have this job, because I was a crash out in high school in general and about theater. For example, I crashed out so hard as a gifted kid who was doing all the extracurriculars in the world, who was watching the athletes get thing after thing after thing. They kept having the athletes' names in their mouth, and I'm like, these people are barely passing. I am number 6 in my class, and I've got 1-2 thing.
Yeah.
That does not make any sense to me. Because in my household, if I had the grades that they had, I don't know if I'd be in the building. I'd be homeschooled at that point. What? So their accomplishments were wonderful, but in my head, I was like, okay, you can dribble a ball, but can you analyze this book and do it well?
Yeah.
Can you do both? Because if I put my mind to it, I could do both. But I crashed out so hard to my econ teacher that he made a whole ceremony for the gifted kids who were going to the colleges and doing all the big things for like academics and stuff and getting all the scholarships. He made a whole thing for them. He was like, yeah, this was because of you. And I was like, I don't know how to feel about that, but thank you. I just took it I take most things that I do very seriously. Like jobs, I take work very seriously. I don't take myself very seriously, but I take work real serious. And because of that, that drive is part of what got me back in the door, what got me back to doing all of this. It was definitely a learning curve for my students because
Well, tell us what show you did.
we did the Wiz.
Okay.
We did the Wiz.
Ooh.
And the process was definitely a learning curve for them just because I'm pretty intense. I was like, we're conditioning, we're running, we are rehearsing till 7, and 7 is like early for me. In a perfect world, we would have gone till like 8 or 9, but I think that might have killed me and them. But we'll see what happens later. And they just weren't necessarily used to the kind of structure that theater has to have sometimes. So, like, if you're sitting on a set piece, yes, your stage manager is going to say, get up off the set piece now, because you've been asked not to sit on it. They have their little attitudes or whatever. But outside of that, it was a fun process. They loved doing it. I loved doing it. They gave me a basket at the end of it.
No.
The basket had a Cowboy Carter CD in there. I don't even
Ooh.
have a CD player. I gotta go get one. Because the babies put the Cowboy Carter CD in there. They were like, I know what she wants. I got it. I got it.
That was very thoughtful.
They are very, very sweet.
Was it, so when you say that, I'm picturing a very large basket with just a CD in it.
No. There was the basket with the CD. There was a Princess Tiana doll. There was a little Minnie Mouse kind of plush. There was
Oh,
a bag
sweet.
of Lay's chips and a very large bar of dark chocolate. And a stress ball, a fidget, and a little notebook.
Oh, it's a good basket.
It was a very good basket. I was like, this is nice. It must feel like roaches are nothing. This is nice.
So, selecting your show, how did you pick the Wiz, or was the Wiz thrust upon you? What's the selection process for a high school play?
For me, it's about picking a show based off what you have. So in the first semester, coming in, I knew that I had a powerhouse young woman who was ready to do that Dorothy lead. I knew that. But then looking around, I was like, okay, what else do I have? If I pick a show around her, what do I have to support her? You know? And I saw that I had a fair amount of boys, and I knew that I wanted a large ensemble. And then I also wanted something with some name recognition that our community would be excited about. So then all signs pointed to the Wiz. For next year's musical, I am between a couple options. I'm thinking about my three biggest ones. I'm thinking about Pippin, Once on This Island, and Little Shop. Three very different shows.
I can vote Little Shop. If I can ever have a vote, I'm voting Little Shop.
You and my students really, really want Little Shop.
That's interesting that the students want Little Shop?
I didn't know the youngins had love.
The kids want Little Shop? I would have said Once on This Island, but okay.
Girl, with as many musical theater like powerhouses that have gone through Little Shop recently, yes, they want Little Shop. It's had Liz Gillies, it had Jeremy Jordan, it had a lot of people go through Little. I think Joy Wood was on Little Shop recently.
Yeah, she was.
They've had a lot of people go through Little Shop, so yeah, they're very excited about it. My problem with Little Shop is just like how with the Wiz, I was like, okay, here's the person I want to highlight. What can I do to support her? I have the person in mind for this year. For next year, I mean. And not only do I want to support her, I want to highlight her. So the role that I had in mind for her in Little Shop is like, it's a princess track. She's not really on stage for real. So if I want her to have more stage time to really like almost carry the show, that's why I'm thinking about a Pippin or Once on This Island, because there are roles in that have the large ensemble that could support her, and then she didn't have to be on stage the whole time. You know, like I love the Wiz, and I love my Dorothy, and she did a wonderful job. The first act, Dorothy does not leave that stage.
No.
Once she comes on, she does not leave.
She
does not leave, and she pushed through, and she pushed through. She like her like. You couldn't ask for a better Dorothy, number one, but number two, that is the stamina that role requires is crazy. And going forward, I don't know if I have that stamina in the kids that I have now. Not as they sit now. We can build that stamina, but would they have that stamina by February or March? I don't know.
You can get them kids running
Listen,
laps.
if they're listening to this, they know what to do. Get in the stamina. Hello.
If you want a show to revolve around you, get some stamina, baby.
Sing around that track.
And that's what we do. But some of them be cheating. Because again, I said earlier that I like to do with them. So I'm running and singing with them, not realizing that if I'm running and singing and I'm over here, you can hide behind this wall over here until I get about here, and then you can start to run again, and then you can hide over here till I can see you again.
These kids are getting smarter.
Girl.
Well, you can't AI theater, so there you go.
You cannot AI a live performance.
So did you feel like you had the support that you needed, or was it
yeah.
Totally.
As much support as my administration can give me, yes. Money is always a thing. Theater is expensive, especially as everything else becomes more expensive. Theater is expensive. And I teach at a Title I school, so that means that the community that the students come from, their property taxes aren't like, they don't have ukus and bukus of money. Okay? So the school itself does not have ukus and bukus of money, and the district does not have ukus and bukus of money. So we do the best of what we can, but I do not feel a lack of support from the actions of my administration, if that makes sense.
That means a lot.
Like, whatever they can do to help me, they do. I do a lot of fundraising on our own, and I did the thing that you're not supposed to do and put a little bit of my own stuff in it, but that's neither here nor there.
We're gonna encourage
You
you
want to
not to
see
do
that
that.
show.
I know.
We're gonna keep encouraging you, me and Justin, and everybody else who listens to this podcast. Don't let
Yeah.
Nala do this.
I
Donate.
know. Don't do it. If anyone is thinking about becoming a theater teacher, don't put your own stuff into it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And the only reason that
Unless you really want that costume. Unless there's one costume that'll really make or break it.
and that's the thing. Like, sometimes things just aren't gonna happen as quickly as you need them to happen, especially when you get real close to the end. Or like for example, my bookkeeper is amazing. I love her so much, but she is a very busy lady. And so if there is a site that's like convoluted and crazy, I'm not going to send her an email with 11 billion steps about how to order this one little stupid thing. I could just get it myself. And then we have it, and then I didn't have to put that headache on her. And I know it's like, well, no, that's her job, but why are you gonna make somebody else's job harder when you could just do it yourself? That's my toxic trait, is doing it myself.
We're gonna encourage you to use the resources around you. And I'm sure that you do, but I mean, obviously not to spend your own money, because I'm sure that the kids appreciate that. But also, like, it's your, it's your,
I know.
I get it. Yeah. But also, I wonder, do you have any advice for, those teachers that are working with limited resources and possibly a lack of support from admin? How to generate that?
If you can get students outside of theater excited about what you're doing, that will get them invested. If you can get your community excited about what you're doing, that will get them invested, because now you have eyes on the theater program. If you can get the grants, if you can win the awards, and if you can't, if you can just be seen, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And in this case, being squeaky isn't like, I need this, I need that, da 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 da. Being squeaky is, we're here, we're there, we're here, we're there. Look at all the people who come to support us. Look at all the things that we're doing all the time. Look at how happy and excited people are about this. If you can show people that it's not just you and your 5 kids, the world turned upside down, then maybe you can generate that a little bit better. And my school is big, so I understand if this next one is impossible, but if there is a way to build a relationship with your administration, that can also be very, very helpful. The relationships that I have with my administration, I went to Newton. I grew up there. They know me through that, but also in the way that, like, you watch someone grow up and now they're doing the things. So it's like, it's twofold in that way. And now in my professional setting, I'm pretty much self-sufficient. I had my assistant principal say the other day in a certification meeting that I don't act like a new teacher. No shade to new teachers. Do your thing, girl. But you just have to build that relationship, get people involved, and be competent. Competent and confident, both of those things. Because the last thing an administrator is going to want to do is throw attention and support at the program whose leader is like, I don't know what I'm doing. Even if you don't know, you need to fake it.
That part.
That's
Never let
just
them
real
see you
life
sweat.
advice.
That's real. Fake it till you make it.
Hello.
Never let them see you sweat.
So, how would you describe your teaching style then? You talked a little bit about, just talking to them as coworkers, but did you model this after? Do you have any other teachers that inspired you coming up that you modeled your teaching style after, or is it all just a Nala original?
No, there are 3 teachers that I've stolen from and mixed it together with my own stuff to make my teaching style. So the first teacher is the teacher from my freshman year. I had 4 different theater teachers in high school. Let's start there. But teacher number 1 is my freshman year teacher. Her name is Tawana Parker Bellamy. And she was so passionate about that program, about that building, about that space. And she had a reputation for being I'm kind of a hard ass, excuse my language, but she knew what needed to happen in order for us to be great, and she was not going to settle for less in the places that she could. If she didn't have to settle, she wasn't going to. But she was also very, very real. If you ask a stupid question, she'd be like, okay, and what do you want me to do? Well, maybe you should do that thing. Yeah. But she was also very funny and sweet and so genuine. And that's something that I took from her. And then teacher number 2 is teacher from my junior year. She is now Dr. Devin Clue Wise. Shout out to Dr. Clue. And also in the same vein, very genuine, very sweet, but she was just so kind all the time. Her door was always open. She always had an ear. Really let us kind of take the reins and find these wonderful leadership roles and opportunities. But at no point did I ever feel like A, she wasn't in control, but B, that I couldn't trust her. Like she's not dead. She is just one of the most earnest people I've ever met. And so Bellamy's realness, Clue's kindness and her earnestness, and then Mike Hadari at UGA. Love Mike. Shout out to Mike.
What out?
Who is actually moving to Virginia, one of the schools in Virginia now. Shout out to Mike either way.
Yeah.
He taught me the importance of failure, of messing up or just letting things happen. Because as we said, I'm a former gifted kid. I don't like to mess up. I don't like to make mistakes. I'm learning to be okay with that a little bit every single day. But Mike showed me that in order to get better, you have to know what's wrong.
Right.
So finding ways to improve and to grow without necessarily hurting ourselves or our feelings is definitely something that I took from Mike. And then you take all of that and then you just throw in having fun and being silly. Yeah. And having fun and being silly. And that's how you get my teaching style. It's very much, okay, here's the thing. Do we know it? Yes or no? No? Okay, let's figure out what we don't know. And then, okay, so you lied. You don't know it. Let's go back and fix it. Let's go back and try again. And that's okay. It's them coming to talk to me and I'm genuinely listening. And sometimes, when you talk to teachers, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But me, I'll be like, "Well, that doesn't sound like the smartest thing that you could have done. Why did you do it like that?" And they're like, "Oh, you what? You should try again." Or they'll be talking to each other. I have one kid. She's so funny, but she's just so blunt. She doesn't mean to be mean or rude. She's just very blunt, and I love her so much. And we'll be having a conversation, and she'll say something like, "Your glasses are sideways. You should probably fix that." And I'll be like, "Baby, that is a great observation. Can you say that in a way that is kinder, a little more constructive?" Then she'll say, "I noticed that your glasses are sideways. Maybe you should turn them." And I'm like, "That's better. We'll work on it, but that's better. Thank you." Thank you. But it's also just about being real, and I don't ever try too hard because it is an elective, it is theater. Once you do your work, okay. But for example, my technical theater class, it's my first period. It's 8 a.m. They do not care about safety at 8 a.m. and about all the things that you need to do to keep yourself safe in theater and be a good techie. They don't care about that. So it got to the point in my technical theater class, we have little teardrop mics. Girl, I turn that mic off and I just start podcasting to the people that are actually listening, and we have a great time. Now that the year's over, we had a great time. Once I really started being like, okay, here's this and that, and here's this one thing about that that's really cool. Okay, now back to what we were actually talking about. Because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
That's true.
And so the students that want to be there are the ones that will light up your classroom. And we give every child every chance. And so once we get into like our work session, the ones that aren't necessarily like locked in with me, you do have to go check on and be like, you good? You know what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You sure? Okay, do your work. Cause I'm gonna come back. Now that we're getting to the end of the year, we're getting to crunch time. The gifted kid in me does not want anyone to fail.
Yeah.
Even though they so desperately act like they want to fail themselves. I've gotten to the point where I have to become the strict teacher and I'm like, you have 10 minutes to do some work. I'm taking your phone because obviously you can't have your phone and work. Yes, I can. Show me. Because I haven't seen it thus far. That's why you're failing. And I think I can bring a lot more of that into my style next year. I was very, very nice this year because I didn't want to alienate anybody. I didn't want anyone to be like, I don't want to do theater, da 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 da. And I said for the students to take some more initiative and bring more people in themselves. Be a little more firm. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of taking it a little bit back to like your teaching style and how that affects how you keep your classroom and your students. How with your teaching style do you inspire your kids to celebrate themselves, even if they have the kids who are like, I'm here to get this elective and keep it pushing, rather than like, oh, I want to do theater for the rest of my life. How do you teach all of your kids to celebrate themselves? Yeah.
To building that relationship for me. So most of the time I'm in the hallway in the morning, not the morning, but like between class changes, I'm in the hallway and I'm like, hey, 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 ooh, I see that you did da 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 da. Good job. Good job. Or one of my students, she's been struggling in her math class and she finally got that grade up to a 78. She was at a 44 the other day. And just like celebrating when they're celebrating, I'm celebrating. So even if they're not into the class, they're excited to see you and they're excited about what you're excited about because you have made them excited just to be there. Several times out of the year during a work session or right before you even start working, I'll go to table and be like, what's up? How are you? What's going on in your life? What do you want to talk about? And we'll just chat because I don't have to follow a timeline. I don't have an end of course test that I have to worry about. So I can use the time in my classroom that I have with these students to do what is best for their knowledge of theater. And part of performance is getting to know your scene partner and all the world of stage. So I get to know my scene partners.
That's a theater
And
bar.
I get to know my scene partners and I find the things that make them excited and see if we can't tie that into a lesson or if I can't bring it up later. Because when they buy in and they're into it, it's absolutely awesome working together. I think one of the things that I messed up this year is I introduced games a little too early. I brought them into theater a little too early. And so I think doing that later and getting to know them a little bit more and figuring out how to entice them before we take them into such a huge space, because our theater is pretty big, before we take them in such a huge space will, I think, enhance a little bit.
No, they love them theater games though. They have to.
Oh yeah.
Girl, it's they want to like them. But the crazy thing is that they get up around their friends and they like, man, this is lame. This is lame. What we doing? Okay. Yes, and we in it. You
They're
like,
not too cool for a zip zap zop.
they
Too
act like it.
cool. Too cool. My
They
nephew
too
had the
cool for
same
the zip
problem.
zaps up. They too cool. We got in a circle, and the game is like, what are you doing? You're pantomiming something. Somebody asks you what you're doing, and then you say something else, right? And the flow is good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. And then we get over that little click, and they like, man, what you doing? What you doing? You reading a book? Actually, what I'm doing, bruh. Or if it's the girls, they're like, no, like what? I don't. Oh my god! And the rest of us who were playing the game are like, are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
But I think I don't know how to get around that. You have to separate them. But they want they want to have the fun. They want to play the silly
What's
game.
in there? For sure.
They just are in that like trying to fit in kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really care about your little cliques. Y'all not gonna be friends by the end of high school. Let's
No,
That's tough.
I am friends with my high school friends. No.
I'm
Ah.
happy for you.
But I'm sure, like, even if they don't care, you caring about them and whatnot, even if they're not, the brightest shining stars, you making sure that you celebrate their celebrations and everything. I'm sure there's value in that, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
just creating a supportive environment regardless. Yeah, tell us about that. Can you
Girl,
tell
that
us?
is hard. That is hard because it's high school. They gonna make the joke. They gonna say the thing. And so you kind of have to put them on the spot. I see someone's trying to doing their best and they over there giggling. Sometimes you gotta throw them under the bus. What are you giggling for? You finna get up here and do the same thing. If not, be worse. Are you gonna do better? No, shut up. Let them try. I'm so sorry that they are rude to you. Please try again. You're great. You're doing great. You're doing absolutely great. And then they get up there and they do the same thing, if not worse. And I'm like, see you doing all that laughing over there. Look at you. Look at you. Not impressive. Not doing any better than what we just saw. What was the point of that? You
So
know,
they're
or
in essence like leveling the playing field for all of
yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah. You think you're hot stuff. You're not. I love you and I respect you and I'm happy that you're here, but you're not. I had to tell my the cast of The Wiz that very, very early on because the kids in the one act thought they had more experience than the kids who were just joining for the musical. And I was like, I love you and I respect you. And I'm so happy that all of you are here, but none of you are special. And all of you can be replaced in this show. You do not get to talk about nobody. You do not get to think that you're better than nobody. No, ma'am, no, sir. You are replaceable. I love you and I respect you. And I'm happy that you're here, but I promise you, you're not the end all be all. I'm replaceable. I told them that. I was like, somebody can walk up in here and have this job tomorrow.
Mm.
Would they be me? Would they be as good as me? Probably not. But I would be gone. Y'all need to understand that right now. So that way when you're in these rooms, you're behaving as someone who feels like who understands that being in this room is a privilege. Not everybody has theater at their schools. Not everybody has theater teachers who are going to direct for free and who are going to stay after and put up with y'all. So the least you could do is be somebody. And even in these electives, in my classes during the day, the least you can do is sit up a little bit and do the class because again, this is a privilege. You can go literally to the county over, a couple counties over. They don't have theater in the classroom. This is such a privilege. And a lot of them just don't get that. They truly, truly don't understand it. Cause it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I've always had running water. I've always had electricity. I've always had Wi-Fi. Like, what do you mean people don't have Wi-Fi and electricity and water?
Mm.
That's not my truth. And I don't care that it's someone
Yeah.
else's, you know?
Yeah. Would you say that there are moments that they do get closer to that understanding of, really appreciating having theater in their schools, really appreciating each other at a human level, respecting each other? Is that like typically like closer to the show? Do you feel like they've gotten there throughout the year now that y'all are ending your year?
I think we're still learning. I think we're still learning that. I think we need to get out a little bit more. I think we need to interact with theater kids from other places because they're really spoiled. They have me and then the kids in the area that we hang out with. We hang out. My friend who teaches at Eastside and her kids, and she's a great director. So this little community that we've created are full of kids with great directors who love and respect them and aren't going to ask them to do crazy, crazy things, you know? So mine definitely need to get out more and talk to different people and
Mm.
see a lot more because I don't right now.
Yeah.
And I think their appreciation for each other, they'll figure it out somehow.
Yeah.
One of these days, right?
One,
How do you think you want to like expose them to that in next year? Getting them like to, I guess, being a part of the environment of like appreciating theater and seeing that other kids really love to do this and are willing to be there.
For the kids in the classes, that's a great thing to think about. I really don't know what to do for them. For the kids that go places with me, like obviously them getting to go to FestCon, there's this trend at 1X nowadays where you bring like a basket for the other schools and you're like, hi, I'm so happy to be here. So getting them to do that and forcing that kind of interaction, that kind of hi, hello,
That's
I'm
sweet.
Nala, what's your name? I'm from Newton, you're from Grayson. Great, here's your basket. What show are you guys doing? That kind of dialogue and opening things up that way. But for the kids in the classes, that's definitely something that I'll have to think about. And to not make it in a way like, there are children's stars, because they're not going to care about that, you know?
Yeah.
So finding a way to package that
Make
will
it
be a
cool to
welcome
them.
challenge.
Like I was saying, like, yeah, making it seem like cool to them. I think, sometimes you run, like you said, you run to that challenge of like students who are like, I'm too cool for this. But maybe, yeah, that exposure to other people who like really enjoy theater and they're like, nah, this is like a cool thing to do. They'll hopefully, maybe, yeah, like you said, will get over that hump of being too cool to do the theater things.
Yeah. Yeah, them fundamentals classes is no joke. They're freshmen and sophomores that were just kind of tossed. Some of them are tossed in there. Some of them actually want the class. And some of them don't know they like theater until the end of the class. But yeah, finding some cool people to make them feel like theater is hot and cool and fresh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like you, for example, you are one of the people who is a performer. Don't forget that. A performer that can make it super cool for them. Speaking about your acting career, your performance career, how do you think, like, coming over like right out the pandemic, how do you think like things have shifted kind of like in the industry, especially as it pertains to like attacking getting work for yourself as a performer?
The shift has been so let's time it out. COVID hit my freshman spring, excuse me. COVID hit my freshman spring.
Oh my
We
god,
went on spring break my freshman year and we never came back.
you were a freshman, Nella?
Yeah, it was my freshman spring.
Oh my gosh, wow.
We went on spring break and we never came back. And so getting out of school at the tail end, not the tail end, but like at the beginning of like people trying to find a new normal and whatever. It's definitely odd
Mm.
because there are still like the one in a million stories, but there are also, I'm reading a lot of articles from people in the industry, from producers and professionals that it's like, okay, you can act, but how many followers on Instagram do you have? You know?
The stunt cast, yeah.
It's intimidating. Definitely. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that all of the jobs that I've had are because because of my work ethic, but B, because of people that I know. Like I have this teaching job because the principal knew me and she called me and said, come get this job. I got that job with the doing the nonprofit stuff because I had worked with them in high school and I had just stayed around and got my master's in nonprofit leadership and management. So it just kind of fell into my lap, Finding the work is definitely a daunting task, especially with all the teaching and stuff going on. Like my family's always like, when are you doing it? When are you doing it? And I'm like, please find me the time to do it. Especially with the way theater works. Like even if I audition for something right now, it's going up during the school year. Fall is 1 act season. And we have to be able to rehearse. I have to have all of the things. So next year will definitely be about finding that balance a little bit. Like this year was just survival. Next year and the year after are going to be about, okay, we've been teaching for a while. What are we doing after teaching? Because my friends are like, you cannot teach forever. And it is the most exhausting and rewarding thing that somebody can do. One of the most exhausting and rewarding things at the level that I do it. If someone comes to work at 8 o'clock at 7:30 and they leave at 3:30, I mean, I guess, but your girl is working 7:30 to 7:30, 5 days, 4 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week for several weeks out of the year.
Yeah.
And even people who are like working, they're not doing 12-hour days that often. So definitely finding that balance, but also understanding that I genuinely have that after this year, I will genuinely have the endurance to do anything.
Real.
Anything. Like some of those days, like a Tuesday, for example, I get a 20-minute break in that entire day because our planning periods rotate. And on Tuesday, I don't have a planning period. So if I get to work at 7:30, go through the day, and the last kid is out the door at 7:20 something, and I'm in my car at 7:30, I had a 20-minute, and maybe if there was a break during rehearsal, but even during rehearsal, Miss McCamy, Miss McCamy, Miss McCamy, So it's definitely tough, but the thing that I tell my students and that I have to tell myself is that you literally just have to do it. You have to do it, and you have to know that whatever happens is going to happen. You'll get yeses, you'll get so many no's, but if you never do nothing, you're not going to get anything. The biggest thing is just to do it.
That was going to be one of our questions. Like, what was your advice? But I think you basically said it. That's your advice to people coming up in the industry.
Do it and trust yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Great answer. I guess we'll pivot to a different question because we are coming up to time here, but we did want to know, is there a memory is there any specific memory or moment that you had while you're like, in the middle, worn out with all of these kids, trying to inspire to the next level of arts? Where you had a moment or an experience that said, yeah, you know what? This is worth it.
There are a couple moments when they saw a picture of the show of what it looked like from the audience. They're like, oh, this is so cool. We look so cool. I didn't know that. I'm like, yes, I'm a genius. Yes, you do look really cool. But the biggest thing is they've started to talk like me, and they've started to say the things that I say to them, to each other. And it's kind of cute to see and endearing. They're telling each other to cheat out. They're asking each other to take a step back and be kind. They're asking each other not to be so rude. Because somehow between COVID and now, children lost manners. They just walk up to you and say, hey, can I have that? And they don't say, excuse me, may I please have? They've lost that somewhere. But they're picking up tricks. They're learning that if you get your work done, that A, your grades are better because all your work is done, and B, when you ask to leave, no one can say, no, you can't leave. Your work's not done. Your work is done. You can leave. They're learning that when you're kind and you're easy to work with, people want you around and they want to work with you more. I don't know. It's literally just the moments when I see it click that I'm like, yes, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Sure, that means the world to them too. Yeah. Well, this has been a blast. I want to thank you for sharing, your experience with us and sharing with these, new young rising superstars.
Doing the work of the universe. My goodness.
Yeah. We're excited to check out next year's show. Cough, cough. Please let it be Little Shop.
Wilson is Island.
Everyone has their choices, I guess. Regardless, we'll be happy to come and support. And then for Nala, the performer, when she's ready to jump back in the scene between that very, very busy schedule, hopefully you find a cool place at House Act to do some good stuff. We'd be happy to have you.
Oh, yeah. You let me know.
We shall.
Gladly. Anything else you want to share before we sign on off? Anything else you need the people to know?
If you've got a kid in your life, love your kids. Everything you say, every look you make, they take with them all day. And they think about it, and it weighs on them, and it affects their day. And if you've got a kid with a passion, even if you think it's stupid, or a kid with a passion, even if you in your heart of hearts and your mind of minds and souls of souls, you think that it's stupid, it's never going to get anywhere, don't tell them, because you're crushing them now, but you're ruining them forever. Give them the grace and let them explore, because the people they can become if you just give them just a little bit. Like, yeah, that's, good job. That's cool. Yeah, man, yeah. And not shooting it down immediately. The people that they can become and blossom into will surprise you. But you have to let them know that someone is there that actually cares about them. Love your kids.
What a great note to end on. Thank you so much, Nala.
Of course.
Yeah, realest message we ever met. All right. Yeah. Have a great night, everybody.
You too. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the House Act podcast. Hope you enjoyed listening as much as we loved recording.
House Act is working to assemble a cutting-edge production group using the community we love to engage with so much. If you are interested in supporting us on our journey, please continue listening as we bring you a season of insightful conversation.
We would also love your support in other areas of our arts production. If you're a passionate creative or patron of the arts, please reach out and ask about the exciting work we have roadmapped for this upcoming year.
Help us make this house
your home.
Yeah, they're gonna love that.
No, it's gonna be great. Great.